Good evening, I'm Jesse Thomas. It's Monday, October 20th. This is CTV News at 6. Making news tonight. Police appeal for witnesses after a shooting at a Halifax tent encampment over the weekend. And how a program aimed to lighten the load of New Brunswick paramedics stalled.
Rain and showers passes through the Maritimes Tuesday. A second round expected late Wednesday.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Jesse Thomas.
Good evening. A boating trip in Queens County, Nova Scotia turned tragic this weekend as 2 children died after the boat they were in capsized Saturday afternoon in Lake Rossignol. A man and another child, his son, survived after a large-scale rescue effort involving emergency crews from across the region. CTV's Hafsa Arif is in the news center with more details. What's the latest you can tell us, Hafsa?
Well, Jesse, it was just before 5 o'clock in the afternoon when RCMP got a 911 call from a man in distress. His boat overturned with 3 children on board at Lake Rossignol, all of them thrown into the water as waves picked up. RCMP say the group was well prepared. They checked the weather before heading out, and everyone was wearing life jackets. But the calm conditions changed quickly. The boat's motor stopped working, and as strong winds rolled in, the boat began taking on water before capsizing. Authorities would not confirm how all 4 were related, but did say the man was 45 years old and all 3 children were 10 years old and under. Now, Lake Rossignol is a very large body of water, stretching to about 10 to 12 kilometers. And according to the fire chief, conditions can change fast. Due to the current drought, search crews faced shallow waters, hidden rocks, and low visibility as night fell. This made the rescue efforts more difficult.
Once the children were in the water and 2 of them were not doing well, they had difficulty breathing, he performed life-saving measures on the children while his son maintained communication on the cell phone.
We couldn't seem to locate them with them coordinates. The cormorant was lucky enough to spot them. They were lucky and fortunate enough that they could land on the shore of the island that they were on. So the Sartex that was on board the cormorant started life-saving operations.
This isn't the first rescue mission crews have had to conduct at Lake Rossignol. The lake is known to shift from calm to rough in minutes, and RCMP say it's a heartbreaking reminder that even when you take every precaution, the water can turn dangerous in an instant. Jesse?
Okay, thanks for that update. That's CTV's Hafsa Arif reporting in the news center tonight. And police in St. John are investigating an early morning murder in the city. Just after midnight, police responded to a call involving a weapon in the area of Taylor Avenue in St. John. Officers found an unconscious 41-year-old male who had sustained serious injuries. Emergency responders transported the victim to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Investigators believe this is an isolated incident. Police, however, are also looking into another incident that occurred shortly after 12:30 this morning on Foster Thurston Drive in the city. Both incidents are believed to be connected, but no arrests have been made. Police are asking those in the area to check security camera footage to see if they captured anyone or anything suspicious. And Halifax Regional Police are investigating after a man was found suffering from gunshot wounds at a homeless encampment in Halifax Sunday morning. CTV's Emma Convey has the latest.
Sunday morning, Andrew Goodsell was on his phone doing a radio interview when he heard shots fired about 50 feet from his tent.
Next thing you know, we hear 4 very loud bangs in the background, and I just kept on talking with the interview, kind of thinking I knew what it was, but then, you know, at the same time, it's what am I going to do about it? And next thing you know, we hear all kinds of sirens.
Halifax police were called just before 10 in the morning to Lower Flynn Park in Halifax, a designated sheltering location by the municipality for those experiencing homelessness.
There was reports of a man found with gunshot wounds. A 30-year-old man was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries.
Police do not believe this shooting was random and no immediate threat to the general public. Police would not reveal if the victim was living at this encampment.
The investigation is ongoing. No arrests have been made at this time. But once again, I would like to repeat that we are looking for anyone from the public who has information and/or dash cam footage from the area.
Mayor Andy Fillmore says incidents like this are unacceptable, and people in the area have shared their concerns about safety for themselves and their children. His solution is to close these encampments.
It really does underline the need that we get people indoors and that we continue to close encampments around the city. We're making good headway on that plan. We've closed University Avenue, we've closed Grand Parade, we've closed Geary Street in Dartmouth. We're in the process of closing Cogswell Park just off of Quinpool Road. And my understanding is that Lower Flynn Park is actually next.
When it comes to safety for those living here, Mayor Fillmore says there are daily check-ins, and Halifax police will maintain their patrols and increase if needed. Little comfort for those living here.
The problem with going outside of your tent in a situation like that is that you're likely to become part of the situation. So to stay safe, keep your head down and pray that a bullet don't come through your tent.
Jesse, I did speak with a few individuals who live at this encampment, and they did mention that they know the individual and say he lives in a tent just behind me here. They were nervous to go on camera just because of safety concerns, and there still is no yet. It's not known yet, Jesse, sorry, the victim's condition as of yet.
Okay, thanks for that, Emma. That's Emma Convey reporting in Halifax near Quinpool Road this evening. And a bizarre incident this morning in Halifax has led to 7 charges being laid against a Halifax woman. Police say Halifax Fire were responding to an alarm at a building on Almond Street. And they say a woman got into a fire emergency truck and drove off. Police found the fire truck about 20 minutes later at Clifton and Charles Streets. Later in the morning, a 28-year-old Julia Elvina King was arrested in connection with the incident. She appeared in court facing 7 counts of including mischief, theft, and assaulting a peace officer. No one was injured and no property was damaged. On the eve of MLAs returning to the New Brunswick legislature, Premier Susan Holt says her government's promise of change is about to accelerate in its second year. CTV's Nick Moore reports.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since New Brunswickers put their trust in Team Holt.
Tomorrow will also mark the beginning of a new session at the New Brunswick legislature. Today, Premier Susan Holt teed up the speech from the throne.
The speech from the throne is titled Change in Motion, and it reflects the fact that much of our work this year was foundational, and now things really need to roll.
Holt says the 2 top priorities for her government, health care and affordability, are going in the right direction. The Premier also acknowledged that it may not be happening fast enough for some.
And we've put the foundations in place. We've gotten some of those initial things set up. Now we really need to get things rolling and see an acceleration of the changes that our team has made.
The last year has also presented difficulties for the government with the promise to balance the budget, which is now seemingly out of reach, with deficits now projected in each year of the Liberals' mandate. The opposition parties question just how much of a foundation for change has been laid for the next year.
To lay the foundation, to me, says you've got to restructure the way the system is operating, and they haven't restructured anything.
New Brunswickers are frustrated because this government promised them everything and have delivered very little in the big promises that they've made.
Some of the first legislation to be tabled this week will include the Chief Medical Officer of Health. Holt says the goal of the legislation, which was an election pledge, will be to provide more structural independence between the province's top doctor and government. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
All right, let's go outside for a live look at Truro, where it's a fairly pleasant day, 13 degrees right now. Let's get our first look at the weather. For that, we go to CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell, who joins us now. Hey, Kaylin.
Hey there, Jesse. Yeah, a lot of temperatures right now around the Maritime, sitting around the low to mid-teens. They're not going to be cooling off as much tonight as you'd normally expect in sort of moving towards a late October night because of the cloud cover in place and actually some wet weather that's approaching from the southwest of us. So most of the overnight lows tonight, high high single digits and into the low teens. Taking a look right now at winds are also from a southerly direction. They are being sustained between around 10 and 25 kilometers per hour, getting a couple gusts reported around 30, but the wind gusts are starting to diminish a little bit. The winds are going to be pretty steady, though, from the south through tonight, and then they pick back up again to become blustery as some of that wet weather begins to move through, which takes me to our radar and satellite map to talk about that. So we already have some fairly cloudy conditions across much of the Maritimes. There were breaks in that cloud cover today. Those breaks are going to be filling in as we move through tonight, and more of that cloud cover moves in from the west. Not any precipitation in place yet, but I would say as we move a little bit later into this evening, there'll be a low chance of some showers in the southwest of Nova Scotia and right along the border of New Brunswick and Maine. And then the rain really begins to arrive through western parts of the Maritimes during the overnight hours. And that's coming in with this low pressure system and a weather front that it's pushing along with it. That front now just starting to make its way through parts of western Maine. How much rain can we expect from the wet weather the system will bring in? Because it is going to be a mixture of some rain and some showers. General 5 to 15 millimeters as we make our way through tonight and through Tuesday. We could use more than that, of course, certainly, but it's better than nothing. There is a chance of some pockets of rain, maybe a little bit higher than the 15 millimeter mark, with one of the areas in the region with the best chance of that kind of up and down the Atlantic coastal counties of Nova Scotia. Talk more about this in the extended forecast, of course, when I'm back a little bit later on. Jesse.
Right. Thanks, Kalen. We'll check in with you, say, in about 15 minutes for that full weather forecast. Now, Alexander Levy's defense argued he acted in self-defense when Ryan Sawyer died after being put into a chokehold maneuver on Christmas Eve outside the Halifax Ale House in December 2022. But the Crown and defense disagree on how long the chokehold was applied and what led up to it exactly. CTV's Callum Smith has details and a warning for some of our viewers. There is video in this report which some may find disturbing.
After commotion inside the now shuttered Halifax Ale House led to a bartender and bouncer jumping the bar, Ryan Sawyer and his brother Kyle were kicked out. Prosecutors say Kyle's decision to shove Alexander Levy early that Christmas Eve morning was regrettable and unfortunate, but that it caused the head of security, Alexander Levy, to spiral.
His fuse was lit at that point, and he was angry. He was hot-headed. So the purpose, in the Crown's view, wasn't to defend himself or anyone else for that matter. It was violence.
Levy's lawyer says Justice James Chipman ought to consider the self-defense argument. James Giacomantonio said his client engaged with Ryan Sawyer after another bouncer was losing control of him shortly after the brothers were escorted outside. Levy had testified last week he applied a rear naked chokehold approximately 100 times, and his lawyer said that was taught to him and employed successfully many times. Giacomantonio declined speaking to reporters, but in court said, quote, "The hold in particular was not a dangerous act. It just caused a catastrophic outcome." Both the Crown and the defense took about 90 minutes to summarize their case to the judge and answer his questions. One key point of dispute is how long Levy choked Sawyer. Levy testified in his own defense, estimating that he squeezed Sawyer's neck for 10 to 15 seconds, then held him while awaiting the police arrival. But that's a far cry from the Crown's position.
It's our view that the chokehold was put on Ryan Sawyer for somewhere closer to 2 minutes.
Crown Prosecutor Rob Kennedy said Sawyer's death was a completely avoidable tragedy and that Levy's actions were overzealous, disproportionate, and violent. The judge reserved his decision until November 26th. Callum Smith, CTV News, Halifax.
And a reminder, for more on this case or any of our stories, you can always visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. And staffing challenges in healthcare are nothing new to our region, but a Freedom of Information request shows how they've handled and been sidelined by an issue that was supposed to help alleviate the stress on current paramedic staff in the first place. CTV's Laura Brown has more.
These units were supposed to ease pressures on ambulances, but since being introduced over 2 years ago, they've mostly sat idle.
Get the low acuity patients transferred between the hospitals and perhaps the nursing homes or their homes, and getting the testing or the care that they need. And again, it'll free up the paramedics to staff the ambulances to respond to the emergency calls.
Former Health Minister Bruce Fitch said these multi-patient transfer vehicles would be operated by emergency medical technicians or EMTs, transferring up to 4 patients who are considered non-urgent to appointments or between hospitals. At the time, Fitch said about 50% of the transfers ambulances were making could be made by these vehicles instead. But since then, some have only made a handful of transfers. In 2024, the first full year these units were supposed to be on the road, the North didn't have a unit operating, but 4 transfers were made in the South, 28 in the West, which includes Frederickton, and 607 in the East, a number that shows what the unit can do. For the first 6 months of this year, the unit did 71 transfers in the North, just 2 in the South, 11 in the West, and 247 in the East.
That's why they haven't moved, is because there's nobody sitting in those vehicles to do the work. It isn't the fact that the work isn't there.
Chris Hood says it's a symptom of a problem that's plagued healthcare, staffing. Right now, there are about 127 vacant Ambulance New Brunswick positions, including EMTs.
In July of last year, the ambulance system was unstaffed 57 vehicles on one August weekend. And that weekend would have, on average, about 80 or 90 staffed vehicles. So over half of their vehicles were unstaffed because of shortages.
He calls this idea fabulous, but it requires more work and coordination. Hood's hoping recent promises by the Susan Holt government to help fund paramedic and EMT training will see these units on the road more consistently in a few years' time. Laura Brown, CTV News, Fredericton.
The Cape Breton Exhibition Grounds is receiving millions of dollars for upgrades. The announcement was made over the weekend. All 3 levels of government are spending money to support the project for a total of $3.2 million. The project will include major upgrades to roofing, electrical systems, washrooms, kitchen areas, fencing, foundations, and drainage even. There will also be improvements to accessibility and an increase in capacity to allow for events all year round.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
And fans of the Toronto Blue Jays will be fixed to their TVs tonight for Game 7 of the American League Championship Series against the Seattle Mariners. The playoff run has seen plenty of busy nights for local sports bars, and as CTV's Avery McRae tells us, they're gearing up for the biggest game yet.
It's quiet inside St. John sports bars right now. But come 9 o'clock tonight, there'll be a buzz for the Blue Jays.
We have 14 TVs in here, and they're just crowded around the mall to watch the game, so tonight will be no different.
And there will be a 7th and deciding game in the American League Championship Series.
In front of a capacity home crowd, the Toronto Blue Jays forced a winner-take-all Game 7 last night against the Seattle Mariners with a 6-2 win. Tonight's winner will advance to face the defending champion Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series. The last time the Jays made it to the Fall Classic was 1993.
Everybody's rooting for the same team, which is nice because usually in a sports bar it's like, no!
Chaotic.
But everybody's on Team Jays. A lot of hooting and hollering. They get a horn if they're sitting at the bar. Lights go off. They have a blast.
Sports bars like Boston Pizza and Shooters have enjoyed the deep run. It's resulted in some profitable nights.
Well, every time the Blue Jays or the Toronto Maple Leafs or somebody like that do well, we do well, right? So it's great.
Star slugger Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been the team's engine with 6 home runs and counting. That ties the most in the franchise's playoff history.
You ask me if I'm ready. I born ready, and I want it all for this city.
Confidence like that from the team's biggest star has fans feeling good heading into the team's biggest game in over 30 years.
Toronto won by 3-point difference, 6-3.
Bieber pitching, and glad he's going to hit a couple tonight. I can see it coming.
I think the Blue Jays are going to win it all. We're going to make it to the World Series, and we're going to win.
Now, Jesse, this is the 3rd time the Blue Jays have played in a winner-take-all game in the past decade. Fans will have fond memories of the previous 2, the most recent coming in the 2016 American League wildcard game when Edwin Encarnacion walked off the Baltimore Orioles with an extra innings home run, and of course, Game 5 in 2015 against Texas, better known as the Jose Bautista bat flip game.
Who can forget that? Yeah, and I guarantee Avery wasn't even born the last time the Jays were in the World Series, but they still have to win tonight. All right, still to come. Rain will reach western parts of the region tonight, and Kalen returns with his full forecast. But next, a guessing game.
It's good for engagement. It's good. It's just good for everybody. Everybody's laughing, having a good time about it.
All right, we'll tell you about a unique contest in Frederickton involving a bridge. That story and more is coming up at 6. Stick around. Welcome back. Now to the story of a bizarre contest that's seeing a lot of traffic in Fredericton. And it's not about a sports team or a first snowfall, but a guessing a date for when an overpass will be struck by a truck. As CTV's Sarah Plowman shows us, it happens with alarming regularity.
Fredericton's walking bridge is popular to stroll over or pass under. A month ago, this was the attraction. A semi stuck underneath halting traffic. 2 days before, a different truck, the same position. New England Pizza launched a contest. Who can guess when this will happen next?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything this year. I was expecting, it'd be next spring.
Guess right and win a $100 gift card. 23 people chose last Friday when it happened again. The owner will pay out $2,300.
Oh, I'm over the moon. This is great. It's good for engagement. It's good. It's just good for everybody. Everybody's laughing, having a good time about it.
Across town, another contest from a company that makes road signs and made one to highlight how many days it's been.
It was the chatter of the town. Everybody was talking about it and wondering why. It keeps happening, but it's the GPS routes. We have construction going on downtown.
One person won a gift card and sign, and now the contest restarts.
I have a prediction of, I think, November 19th range. I'm giving it a little bit of distance, but we'll see.
15 times since 2007, a truck has struck this bridge. The city says it does inspections of the bridge and doesn't anticipate any structural issues to the underpass from truck strikes. There are warnings for drivers that this is just 3.5 meters high.
Every time it happens, I swear, at family dinners, everybody's like, hey, guess what? Somebody hit the bridge again.
Will it happen again or when? That's anyone's guess. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
Still to come, rain and showers for the Maritimes tomorrow. Kalen, he'll be back and he'll have all those details when we return and much more news headlines as well. Stay tuned. All right, welcome back. Check out this spectacular view of Cape Breton, the fall colors, Coxheath, Nova Scotia there. Wow.
That's really nice.
Yeah, really. Dizzying in a way. But yeah, I feel like I'm there in a way, kind of, you know?
Yeah, one of the things helping us out right now here in the Maritimes, we really haven't had like a big rip-roaring wind event come through yet that would shake all those trees off. Yeah, we've had a couple days where it's been blustery, gusty. We're certainly losing some of those leaves.
Yeah, I did some raking on Sunday.
Yeah. Haven't had a big storm to really tear a lot of them off the tree branches quite yet. We're going to go with a little bit of a Cape Breton theme because our view picture for the end of the night is coming in from northern area of Cape Breton. I don't get a lot of pictures from New Haven in Victoria County, so that'll be coming up at the end of the show. Let's take a quick look at weather conditions across the country. So beginning out west, it's got cloudy conditions there. Vancouver and Victoria sitting at 12 degrees. Into Alberta, it's a little bit cooler now with 8 at Edmonton and 10 at Calgary, 6 at Saskatoon, and Winnipeg reporting some rain sitting at 6 degrees. Up north, it's 3 at Whitehorse, 3 at Yellowknife, and Iqaluit and southern Baffin Island actually underneath a rainfall warning, expecting 20 to 30 millimeters of rain. Currently at Iqaluit sitting at 2 degrees. There's also a rainfall warning out for one of the southernmost areas in Quebec, expecting to pick up 40 to 60 millimeters of rain tonight. Montreal right now is reporting rain sitting at 16 degrees. That is part of the same weather system that'll be bringing us some rain and some showers here to the Maritimes tonight into Tuesday morning. No weather weather warnings in effect for us. Taking a look at our forecast timeline for cloud cover and precipitation, areas that are not yet cloudy will become cloudy as we move through this evening and tonight. There's the band of rain showing up in the southwest of Nova Scotia and the southwest of New Brunswick by around midnight. That band of rain progressing across the Maritimes from the west to the east as we make our way into and through Tuesday morning. Now, following up in behind that, there'll be some cloudy periods and a chance of some spotty showers, with the chance of showers becoming lower as we move into Tuesday evening and Tuesday night. There will be a second weather front that comes through the Maritimes late Wednesday into early Thursday. That'll bring some additional rain and showers with it as well. And of course, we need all that we can get. Winds in the forecast for that wet weather as it's moving through. They're going to be a little bit blustery. They're going to be out of the south and southwest. Peak wind gusts 20 to 50 kilometers per hour, but the 50s mostly for coastal areas of Nova Scotia and parts of Prince Edward Island. Now, the southerly winds for both tonight and tomorrow do keep temperatures somewhat milder for late October. It's not particularly chilly tonight. Most of the lows will be in the range of around 7 to 12 degrees. And high temperatures tomorrow, despite the fact that there's some wet weather moving through, will be mostly around the low to mid-teens, so 12 to 15 degrees in the north of New Brunswick, with central and southern parts of the province with high temperatures mostly between 14 and 16 degrees. Prince Edward Island on Tuesday can expect high temperatures between 14 and 16, with the rain moving through and that southwest wind becoming a little bit gusty. In Cape Breton tomorrow, high temperatures right around the mid-teens and 15 to 17 degrees for the eastern shore and north shore of mainland Nova Scotia. Cumberland, Colchester counties tomorrow. Hants County can expect high temperatures mostly between 15 and 17. 16 at around Enfield and Fall River for tomorrow, and for the city centers Halifax and Dartmouth. 15 at both Chester and Lunenburg. A little bit milder, though, at Bridgewater, Liverpool, and Shelburne, closer to 14 degrees. That southwest wind a little bit more directly on shore for Yarmouth and Barrington, so 14's there. 17 degrees for the Annapolis Valley. In the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, coming up on Wednesday, that's when the next round of wet weather arrives. Late in the day, that's when we'll see some rain, some showers return, at least to western parts of New Brunswick. It's down to a chance of some spotty showers on Thursday. The temperature's cool for the end of the week. Friday, a mix of sun and cloud. Cloudy periods to start the weekend. Temperatures turn a bit chilly by the end of the weekend and the start of next week. For Nova Scotia, the outlook coming up on Wednesday, cloudy periods with the showers moving in Wednesday night. We'll be left with a lower chance of some showers on Thursday and then a mix of sun and cloud for Friday. Cloudy periods to start the weekend, and temperatures cool to chilly through the weekend forecast and into the start of next week. High temperatures could be 8 to 12 degrees. And for Prince Edward Island in the forecast on Wednesday, cloudy periods with showers developing Wednesday night. A lower chance of a few more showers on Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud on Friday. Cooler by Saturday with highs near 10 degrees and highs near 10 as well for both Sunday and Monday. Jesse.
Thanks for that, Kalen. We'll check in with you later for wake-up weather. Next, we'll talk to New Brunswick Premier Susan Holt as she marks year 1 in office. Stay with us. Lots of news still coming up after the break.
Okay, so coming up tomorrow, make sure to get those keywords. 7 a.m. is going to be your first chance to win our $5,000 that we give away daily with Virgin Radio's 5K a day.
And tomorrow after 6 a.m., text the Truth Tuesday for another awesome prize.
Welcome back. It's been 1 year since Susan Holt made history, becoming New Brunswick's 35th premier and also the province's first female premier as well. The Liberal leader swept to power last fall, promising a new tone at the legislature and changes on key issues like healthcare, affordability, and access to services. Tonight, she reflects on her first year in office and what's been achieved and what's still ahead. Premier Holt, thanks for joining us. I have to ask you off the top, does it feel like it's been a year already?
Oh, it's been a year. Sometimes it feels like it's been a lifetime over these last 12 months, but it's been an incredible year to serve as the Premier of New Brunswick for me and for our team.
Yeah, thinking back to that night you gave your victory speech with your family to here we are now, I'm wondering if you can kind of go back and reflect on perhaps maybe your biggest accomplishment you feel so far in your first year in government.
Oh gosh, there's been so many things and days where I've had moments of encouragement, but I think the biggest accomplishment thus far is the fundamental shift we've made in how we think about and set up our primary care in New Brunswick. We really desperately needed a change to primary care from single offices with, a doctor and some staff to these teams of healthcare professionals collaborating to take after communities and families and all of their needs. And we have made leaps and bounds in terms of that model over these last 12 months. We've set up 7 new family health teams with 3 more to come this year. We've taken thousands of New Brunswickers off the waiting list for care. And I think we're starting to see, it's a big effort to shift the direction of the ball. But once it starts to roll, I think we're going to start to see that momentum really pick up and the results start to be felt by New Brunswickers in the years ahead.
On the other hand, I'm wondering what may be your biggest challenge, and maybe it's part of your accomplishment as well. Maybe it is just healthcare, or where do you see that, your challenges now?
Well, there's no question that healthcare is our #1 priority, and it is the thing that New Brunswickers want us to fix most. But it is also one of the things where a lot of the changes are within our control, right? We control the compensation for doctors, nurse practitioners, the training environment, the healthcare model of delivery. What I don't control is the global economy or the U.S. And so I think one of my biggest challenges for New Brunswick is that the economic conditions have changed fundamentally over the last 12 months.
Right.
And here in New Brunswick, we only have so many levers we can pull because we are part of a global marketplace. And so that is one of the real tough challenges that hit us in the face like a stiff breeze last November and continues to blow cold and strong.
Sure. What does the increased tariff, say, on softwood lumber stand to do for the economy there in New Brunswick? And I'm wondering, how do you kind of punch back on this?
Yeah, well, what they stand to do is negatively impact our entrepreneurs and businesses and the people who work in the forestry sector. We have forecasts of job loss that are hundreds going beyond 1,000 jobs lost. We have a measurable hit to our GDP, and then all the supply chain that surrounds New Brunswick's vibrant forestry sector. We have the best wood that builds the best homes, and so we're thinking about things differently, right? What can we do with wood that we're not doing today? What can we do here in Canada if we're going to be made uncompetitive in the U.S. thanks to these illegal tariffs? Then how do we think about what we might build with wood that we didn't yesterday and how we might do that across the country?
Okay, how do you deal with Donald Trump then? We're talking about the U.S. and obviously they are your largest exporter of softwood. How do you deal with that fallout then?
I mean, how do you deal with Trump is that be a question for, if anyone has the answer to that question, I think they might deserve an award because he's exceptionally hard to predict and irrational. And so negotiating our way to the kind of free and fair trade that is tariff-free, not only across softwood lumber, but across all of the Canadian economy, which means steel, aluminum, cars. We've got, thankfully, an exceptional team in Ambassador Kristen Hillman and Dominic LeBlanc and the Prime Minister working at it. But I think what we do and can do is lean on our allies and strengthen our relationships with ourselves
Is there a way to
well
retaliate, though? I know you talked about retaliating or counterpunching in a way to Trump's tariffs, but can you? I mean, it doesn't seem like the federal government has a plan to retaliate either.
Yeah, well, don't forget that we did retaliate, actually. That one of the first moves the federal government made was to retaliate against the tariffs in ways that really got under the skin of numerous American senators and governors when we think about the things like orange juice or bourbon or other things that we tariffed because they're non-essential Canadian products, but they're fundamental to the economics of some states. So we certainly have those tools at our disposal. There's things that Canadians produce that Americans need. Here in New Brunswick, that's gas, that's jet fuel, it's electricity. There's a lot of things we provide to the eastern seaboard of the U.S. that they can't live without. And so we've been I think, thoughtful about how we use those tools. But we can't sustain a 45% tariff on softwood lumber for long.
Bottom line,
something significant about it. Yeah.
You came into politics talking about bringing a more collaborative approach, but I'm wondering what your relationship's like with Mark Carney right now. How are you guys getting together, or how are you guys getting along and maybe approaching these tariff situations or finding new markets together?
Well, we as premiers were actually really pleased to see the Prime Minister's openness after his election. When he came to sit down with all of us premiers, he shared substantial information and really engaged with us to say, what do you need? How could this work in your areas? The Prime Minister's laser focused on some things that New Brunswickers are really appreciative of. It's how do we build a national economy so every Canadian can benefit from our country's wealth of resources. We want to share our wealth of forestry products with the country, and we want to share our critical minerals with the country, and we want to lean on some of our neighbors for some of their products as well. But the Prime
trading
Minister is
east
really
to west.
accessible.
Yeah,
he's been really accessible. He's listened. He's heard me on softwood lumber and has committed to prioritizing getting those tariffs off in their interactions and negotiations with the U.S. So
I hate to say this, but we're out of time already. I just want to ask you maybe a quick question. Just what's your top priority going into year 2? Even a couple words if you can.
I mean, we want to help New Brunswickers with the cost of living, and we want to deliver them the health care that they're looking for. So I know you asked me to pick one. I talked a lot about health care, but look, it's expensive out there. And so we're looking for ways to make sure that people have good paying jobs and that they can live affordably and have a great quality of life here in New Brunswick.
Thanks for your time, and congratulations on getting through year 1. Look forward to seeing how year 2 goes for your government.
Yeah, thanks very much, Jesse. Appreciate it.
That's New Brunswick's 35th Premier, Susan Holt. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for this conversation. We've got more news coming up just after the break. Stay with us. And in the Lifeline tonight, a made-in-Montreal device that uses AI to treat brain cancer. CTV's Amanda Debison has more.
Montreal is home to a major medical advancement. A new tool is using AI to help detect cancer in the hopes of offering a better prognosis. Dr. Kevin Petreka is a surgeon at the Montreal Neurological Institute Hospital. He's also the founder of Sentry, a handheld device used during surgery that differentiates cancerous tissue from healthy tissue.
98.7% of the time, if it says it's tumor, it's tumor. And equally, or maybe even more importantly, if it says normal brain, it's normal brain 100% of the time.
Petreka says cancer is not visible to the naked eye or any other technology, so this tool allows surgeons to go beyond what was previously possible and remove more cancer than ever before. According to Petreka, using this device during surgery can extend a patient's life 2 to 5 times longer than expected. It's been most commonly tested during brain surgery, but can also be used to detect cancer in other parts of the body, like the breast and lungs. Hundreds of patients have been involved in clinical trials. The next step for Sentry is to be FDA approved, with a trial scheduled in the spring. Finally, another medical tech will soon be accessible to more Canadians. This device allows doctors to see inside the brain's blood vessels in high resolution and in real time. It's called the Vena Microangioscope, and it's been used so far for 40 procedures. The device was developed in Kitchener and has now been licensed by Health Canada. This means it's now available for clinical use across the country. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
And the Daffodil Garden for Cancer Survivors was created 5 years ago. Last year was supposed to be the last plant until Judy and Jim Edgar learned thousands of daffodil bulbs were lost due to construction damage this past summer. CTV's Emma Convey attended this year's official last planting and has more.
2 years ago, Jean Aucoin planted daffodils at this garden to support his friend and colleague Rachel during her cancer battle. This year, he plants in her memory.
We thought this would be a neat way to come down here at Alderney Gate, plant some daffodils in support of her, but also for those that do have a friend or a family member that is have been currently diagnosed with cancer.
The Daffodil Garden for Cancer Survivors was founded 5 years ago by Jim and Judy Edgar. As cancer survivors themselves, they wanted to create a space in nature where people could gather to share their stories or just sit and reflect.
Let them know that it's not just people that have lost their lives, but there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the area that have survived cancer diagnosis.
Over the years, they've planted 40,000 bulbs here. It's a big task. And with the two volunteering for other community groups as well, 2024 was supposed to be their last year.
When we said that, we didn't realize all the construction work that was going to be happening in front of the garden this summer. We lost thousands of bulbs, and people started reaching out to us and saying, what are we going to do?
After advocating for the garden and reaching out to the mayor, the construction company donated 1,000 bulbs to make up for the losses. And Vessie's Garden Store matched the donation, giving community members another chance to plant for their loved ones.
For my wife.
Members of our family who we've lost to cancer, members of our family who have survived cancer. So this is, in some ways, our ability to pay tribute.
I plan to bring my friend here after she's finished her therapy so she can see the daffodils that I planted for her.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it reminds you not only of the beauty of spring, but of the beauty of people who are living or struggling with these diseases.
Now, this is the last official year Judy and Jim will be organizing this planting, but they would love to see someone else continue their passion project. Emma Convey, CTV News, Dartmouth.
Emma, we'll be right back with Kaylin's wake-up weather coming after this break. Stay with us.
With Crash and Sarah Betts.
There's an ice cap curdling in my car. We'll talk worst messes you've had to clean up tomorrow.
Plus our final $20,000 winner with Dream Day.
Go Jays!
Start your morning with us for what you need to start your day. News, weather, and even a little fun. Your Morning Atlantic with Amanda Devison, Crystal Garrett, and Latavia Beezer. Weekdays from 6 to 9 on CTV2 and ctvatlantic.ca.
And to some business news now on the markets. The Dow ended the day up 515 points, and tariffs are still holding back investment. BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez has more from a new survey from the Bank of Canada.
The majority of Canadian goods sent to the U.S. are covered under CUSMA, so they're tariff-free. But clearly, tariffs are still a concern for business owners. In the Bank of Canada's latest survey, they say uncertainty remains their top worry. Companies are spending more on routine maintenance than growing their business, and about a third now expect Canada to hit a recession, and that's up from the last survey. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is up to 71.26. West Texas Intermediate crude is down a bit to 57.02. Western Canadian Select is down to 46.29. And the TSX shot up 307 points today to 30,416. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
Thanks, Morella. All right, we find Kaylin Mitchell outside now. We know what that means. It's time for wake-up weather. Hey, Kaylin.
Yeah, thank you, Jesse. It's a cloudy and breezy night out here on the CTV News Atlantic weather deck. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. And as we talked about earlier, we're going back to Cape Breton. This is New Haven, well, towards the northern tip of Cape Breton. It's in Victoria County. It was sent in by Monica Hogan. Not only did I like the fact that we can see the fall colors here along the water's edge, but it was calm so that you can see the clouds reflected as well in those waters. So I want to thank Monica very much for sharing that picture. New Haven for tomorrow. There's going to be some rain moving through, mostly in the afternoon. Looks like it'll be about 5 millimeters of rain. The high temperature tomorrow around 14 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow, we do start off with some rain and some showers in place for parts of the region, mostly New Brunswick, especially in the east of the province and northern and central areas of Nova Scotia, with that rain progressing towards Prince Edward Island and eastern areas of Nova Scotia, including Cape Breton, as we move through Tuesday morning and into Tuesday afternoon. High temperatures tomorrow for much of the Maritimes will be around the mid-teens, and winds will be a little bit blustery out of the south and southwest. Jesse.
All right, thanks for that, Kaylin. Now, finally tonight, for the first time since 2023, the Halifax Wanderers are bringing the playoffs home. The Wanderers, they played their final game of the regular season on Saturday. They lost this one 1-0 to Ottawa to finish 4th in the Canadian Premier League. Halifax, they'll now face York United Wednesday night at the Wanderers grounds. That'll be a knockout match. The winner will then move on to the semi-final qualifier. Kickoff Wednesday goes at 7:30 p.m. There'll be a big crowd down there, I'd imagine, as well. All right, that's our show for tonight. Thank you for watching. We'll take a break here until 11:30 when we'll see you back here again for your late news. But remember, our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca, has updates anytime. I'm Jesse Thomas, filling in for Todd Battis this evening. I'll see you back here again tomorrow night at 6. In the meantime, have a great night, everybody. We'll see you later on. Take care.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.